but it all amounts to nothing if together we don't stand. There is power in a union.
It's not easy having your birthday in a lockdown.
So instead, we created a virtual launch which showcased our 150 years of struggle, history, and rich working class culture.
We are in the dish with one spoon territory. Our story began on the land of Indigenous communities and has been forged with those who have come from around the world as immigrants or refugees to build Canada's largest urban centre. For a century and a half, working people have organized collectively around a vision of economic and social justice. In the early decades, the Labour Council built campaigns for better working conditions and vital public services. During the Great Depression, social improvement was the constant focus of campaigns. After the Second World War, the Toronto Joint Labour Committee for Human Rights was formed. It led a relentless campaign against racist practices by employers, landlords, and businesses. The turbulent 60s and 70s saw the rise of health and safety activism and a women's movement for equality. Free trade deals set the stage for massive job loss. Unions mobilized, building alliances and a powerful resistance movement that featured a full general strike, the Metro Days of Action, in October 1996. Working people in Toronto and York Region have come a long way since 1871. The gains we have won through collective bargaining and political campaigns could hardly have been dreamed by those who started 150 years ago.
Let's sing! You're the rebel girl, you're the rebel girl. To the working class, you're a precious girl.
For the loser now will be later to win. For the times they are a-changing.
Flipping burgers with a bachelor's degree, serve it to you on my master's, what's the matter to me? Call me a millennial, Facebook status, Instagram addict, PlayStation, Xbox having. You tell me get a job, okay, where's the job?
I take this hammer, carry it to the captain.
Now is the time for us to be free.
And people just kept coming and coming and coming.
They were up in trees. They were hanging off signs. They were everywhere.
Only black people could be sleeping car porters. Once you were hired as a sleeping car porter, you could not achieve any other position.
The celebration was not only to honor our past, but what we're doing now and in the future. Because as we saw in our anniversary year, a fighting labor movement matters more than ever.
This cavalcade is taking place during the 150th anniversary of the Toronto and York Region Labour Council. Congratulations! The Canadian Labour Movement can justly claim the title of originator of Labor Day and the precursor to the Toronto and York Region Labour Council organized the first North American working people's demonstration of any significance on April the 15th in 1872.
Thank you very much, friends.
That's what you are. You're a teacher, and you taught us well. Thank you. I hope, as I take on this torch, that I can do as good as you did, and also to lead the best way I can with the work and your mentorship over the years. Thank you.
Our duty to every single working person in this region requires us to prepare for a level of militancy and vigilance in the workplace.
COVID has highlighted the social, economic, racial, and other inequality that existed long before this pandemic.
March of 2020 saw a complete shutdown of the live entertainment industry.
We lost 90% of our members.
Some of our members passed away because of COVID. Others has long-term health issues and cannot work anymore.
They came with 64 concessions that they wanted.
When healthcare workers demanded that they get the proper protection, the proper pay for the sacrifice that they've made, it still goes unanswered.
They're doing the work of an extra 32 people in the middle of a pandemic while the management is still getting bonuses.
What do we want? When do we want it? When do we want it? Nothing short of full and equal rights for gig workers will give them the protection they need.
An astronomical number of women left the workforce because they are home caring for their children.
The Ministry of Education's announcement in May that online remote learning will become a permanent part of our system.
We're dealing with online learning in ways we never anticipated.
The virus forced us to recognize we cannot have 40 years of government cuts, budget freezes, and underinvestments without serious consequences.
Those who will be hardest hit and left behind by climate change will be those who have been hurt and left behind by COVID.
We are here to plan after the climate.
Racial tension, anti-black racism.
The nooses being found on our construction site, the Declaration of Inclusive Workplace condemn the acts of racism.
Supremacy has been around in Canada for many centuries, and using COVID right now to show up again.
We've got a journey to build a better Canada, a better world. We do it shoulder to shoulder. We do it by confronting the reality of how this country was built and saying we're going to build it better together. We saw a group of angry Canadians take to the streets in trucks and shut down city after city, occupied in Ottawa.
It was led by people who have taken on the ideology of the far right. It is Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, anti-LGBTQ, anti-woman, and anti-worker.
But one thing I know as labor unionists, we know how to pivot and persevere.
Our Labour Council was formed 150 years ago by immigrant workers who were realizing that if they didn't have a strong collective voice, they would never get justice.
A good world, a world that provides dignity and respect to all, is possible if we come together and use the collective power that's ours.
We will push for government accountabilities. Together, we will fight for social, economic, racial, and climate justice. Keep standing, keep going forward.
Who got the power?
We got the power.
Who got the power?
We got the power.
Together, we can find collective voice and fight for a better world. And together, we will build the power of people to win.